Yo, it's me, CSCOTT, and it's about time I reviewed this film. Salem's Lot is a 1979 TV miniseries, the first Stephen King book to be made into a TV miniseries, so it's the first big Stephen King miniseries. It stars David Soul, Bonnie Bedelia, and James Mason. It tells the story of Ben Mears, who has come back to his childhood town where he grew up, called Salem's Lot, and he's a famous writer, and he's come back to write a book on the infamous Marston House, which he grew up hearing horrible stories about. But what he finds is more terrifying than what he could have ever thought. So, let's talk about this, because I've been wanting to do this movie for a while. Since I started the channel, actually. It's been one of the ones I wanted to do, but I waited. And so when I started making this list of movies to put for 31 classic films, to my 31 on 31 this year, I added this to it. I know it's a TV miniseries. I know it sort of stands out when it comes to the rest of these, because all the rest of these are like big like movies that have been released in theaters and stuff. But I wanted to add this to the list because I think it's a classic, but I do have some issues with it, and we're going to get into that. But first, the positives. Of course, the first positive I can say is the acting, the characters, the portrayal of the characters. Ben Mears, David Soul, is great in the role of Ben Mears, and Bonnie Bedelia as his love interest is also very great. You got James Mason, who plays sort of the secondary villain, and then the one and the only Mr. Barlow, who is played by an uncredited actor. He's almost Nosferatu-esque. These characters are done very well. This movie is directed well by Tobe Hooper, of course, and he directs these scenes very well. When something happens, it is very creepy. There's scenes where you have a vampire kid at the kid's window, or you got vampires popping out or something. The scene in the kitchen when Mr. Barlow grabs the kid, I forget his name, but grabs the main kid. It's terrifying, and the horror in this film works very well. I also like the love story between Ben and his love interest, played by Bonnie Bedelia. I think it works very well. Where they take it, though, is where they lose me. We'll get to that in my negatives, but I really like that kind of love story, how he's kind of wandered back into town. She has his books, though she's not really a fan, and she hasn't really read anything, but there's that kind of romance with them, and he does have problems with her ex, but that goes away as the vampires start to sort of creep in, and I do kind of like that romance between them. Let's talk about Mr. Barlow a little bit. He will haunt my nightmares forever. He's a very creepy-looking vampire. Like I said, very Nosferatu-esque. And I think they did a good job at picking the right portrayer, picking the right atmosphere for his character. The Marston House itself is a creepy surrounding. From the very beginning, you are shown that there's something evil in this house. From the way that Ben looks at it, from the way it's portrayed and shot from the angles, it is very creepy looking. And it does house vampires, so it's very dark. Not my negatives. The narrating, the framing, the way they do this. They do that kind of style where they start off after the events of the film have happened, and then go through the events and then cut back to that. So we're shown that we're only going to have 2 survivors of this thing anyway. And it's our main character, of course, and the little kid whose name I can't freaking remember. But we're shown that. So we're going through the film and we're, oh my god, if they're going to live, are they going to live? And like I said, one of my favorite things in this is the romance. But she's not one of the last 2 survivors. And so automatically, like, oh, we didn't see her. And they could just pull a twist where she's just waiting outside for them, but they don't. And you know something's going to happen to her because we didn't see her. And that's why I hate that kind of framing of the narrative where you start off at the end of, after all the events of the film happen, and then go through the film. I don't like that kind of narration. And let's go straight into what happens to the love interest here. She gets turned into a vampire, and Ben is forced to stake her. Now, from some points of view, you can say, oh, but that works with the romance. He's fallen in love with her, now he's forced to kill the woman that he loves. Yeah, but then again, we've spent the first half of this film basically building up the Marston house and the villainous and the vampires, which is a good side, and also building up this romance between them. To then just flip that on its head, she gets bit in the second half and becomes a vampire. Now he's forced to stake her. That also leads me to another negative I'm going to get into. This movie is over 3 hours long. I remember when I first started watching this, nothing had freaking happened other than a few vampires showing up, but nothing substantial. Nothing had even happened, and I'm like, how far are we into this? And I looked at it, how much time had passed. About an hour. An hour of time, and nothing had even happened. I was thinking, oh, we gotta be close to the end of this, right? How long is this? 3 hours long, over an hour in, and nothing had really happened other than the romance stuff and teasing at vampirism. I know this is a TV miniseries, but it's too damn long. Too damn long. And so I bought the remake, which is also a TV miniseries. It's also 3 hours long. But hopefully, and I will eventually watch, I don't know if I'll review it this month, but I will eventually watch that. Hopefully they do better at the pacing, because a lot of it's just like romance stuff, talking, hinting that James Mason may be evil, going to the antique store, the kids' play that he's in, or whatever he's doing, pageant, whatever. A lot of stuff could be taken out, and it all feels like filler. The first half of this is mostly filler, save for some romance stuff and building up the vampires. That's it. And so when you get to the second half and this stuff really starts to happen, you're like, oh, okay, this is really getting going. And then you get that thing with her. It's like, oh, so we built the first half of this thing, building up this romance, and then just say, nope, she's a vampire, he's got to kill her. That, to me, doesn't work. And it kind of, on rewatch, lowers my investment of this romance. Especially if you're keen to pay attention to the beginning of this film, where it's just the two characters left, and then we teleport back to the past, and you think, okay, well, she's not there, so why should I invest my time in this romance when we know something's going to happen to her, she's not going to be there at the end? And, there could be a twist where, like I said, she survives, and she's just outside waiting for them in the car, going, come on, come on, come on, come on. But no, because when we cut back, that's when he stakes her. And for some reason, she's just laying there. I don't know if they explain it. I don't know if I paid attention enough. 2 times I've watched this, but she's just laying there. And he stakes her. There's no grand fight. There's no, I'm going to get you. She's just laying there, and he stakes her. Kind of meh. But at the end of the day, I do like this. I think it would. I hear they're going to be making another one, and when they do, I hope to make it first of all, a feature film in the movie theaters, not another miniseries, because we don't need all the filler stuff. All right, we don't need all that. Just tell us a vampire story, and kind of change the ending. Get rid of him having to stake his girlfriend, because I don't care for that. This is Stephen King before he went nuts. So, it's really enjoyable. I like it, but I think it's decent. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. There are problems with it. It's too long. Some of the choices made throughout the film don't work for me. But all in all, it's decent. It gets a 6. So what are your thoughts of Salem's Lot? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.